pyrography seems to be gaining popularity. Here is a stick I did a while back, and I enjoyed it so much that I thought I'd have a go at doing another one. And here it is. I started doing the top, and while I was doing it I thought people might be interested in how I go about doing it, so that's what this video is all about. Here is the kit I use, a Peter Child's Pyrography iron, temperature controlled, lovely bit of kit. For 99% of my work I use a spoon tip, and here it is, you can see it at the end of the iron. Just a note on health and safety, you don't want to be sucking in the fumes of the pyrography iron, so I do it outside. This is where I do it. I can listen to the birds tweeting, and I've got my wife's Buddha to keep me company. Do any pyrography indoors, I use this filter, which is actually for soldering. I got it from Maplin's, I think they're still available. It's got a carbon filter and it takes the fumes away. Right, here is the design that I'm using on the stick. I've shown it on a piece of paper because it's better to practice it on something that's flat rather than the round shape of a stick. I start the design with a dot in the centre, then I put in a petal at the bottom, then another one at about 5 to, then another one about 5 past, and another one that then comes in between 20 past and 25 past, and then just fill in the other side. Very repeatable. Then I put in the stalk and put in some leaves. I take the centre vein straight through the leaf, then draw the leaf round to it, and then put one on one side and then another one on the other side, and then there you have a flower, and it's very repeatable, although it's very difficult to do on a stick, and that's why I've showed it on paper, because in the next bit of the video when you actually see me doing it you can't see it as well as I would like. The actual knot holes in the stick to decide where the flowers actually go, and here you can see where I'm looking for another knot hole, and the first thing I do is draw in the centre, then a small V at the bottom pointing towards the centre, and then from that I put in a petal. Then after that I go to the 5-2 position, another V pointing towards the centre, and take the petal round. Then it's the same again at 5 past, and then I go on again to do one at about 20 past. Just fill that in. Make sure the V points towards the centre, and that gives you the line to follow. And you can't go wrong once you get used to the cylindrical shape of the wood, the stem and the leaves. It's a straightforward process. First thing to do is join up 2 flowers with a bit of a stem or a stalk, 2 parallel lines that go between the two, and then once you've done that it's a matter of taking a line away from the stalk in a straight line straight through, so the centre vein is already there. Then put the sides of the leaf each side of it. Here you can see the vein goes straight through, then a line each side in the shape of a leaf, and then on the other side do the same thing. It's pretty straightforward. Vein straight through and then follow the leaf around, and there you have a leaf. Right, time to get down to the nitty-gritty and start outlining the flowers and the leaves. There are 2 ways you can hold the spoon tip. You can hold it upside down, the opposite way you'd use a spoon in real life, and you can get a very sharp edge around the leaves and the flowers. The trouble is, if you do it that way, it digs in and you get a very deep line that's very noticeable when the work's finished. So I find it better to use the spoon tip in the same shape that we'd use a spoon if you were eating your cornflakes. That way you get a broad line for the outline, and it doesn't dig in so much, and it makes it easier when you actually come down to the bit that's doing the shading in between, filling in the blank space, you'll notice that I have to twirl the stick around a few times, and you'll find you're doing this all the time while you're doing it to give yourself the best angle to do the outlining. As you go from one part to another, you have to turn the stick to give yourself the right direction, because you don't want to be burning away from yourself. You always want to be burning from left to right, so you're more pulling the spoon tip along, and you can see how you go round the petals of the flower, and this is a junction across the top, and now you can actually start filling the space in between as I go back. So first I'm just going to finish highlighting around this leaf, leaving a very fine bit of stem, and now here we go, I can start filling in the shading bit. This is probably the easiest bit of doing the pyrography. You need to vary your length of your stroke so that you don't finish up with strange lines, but this is probably the most satisfying part, actually, just doing this, and you can let your mind wander, and very therapeutic. Now it's time to start doing the detail. I'll start with the centre of the flower, and I just fill that in by burning the centre, so we've got a dark circle. I'm using the spoon tip the opposite way up, so inverted if you like, so that I can get some nice strong dark and sharp lines, filling in the petals especially. And you notice that while I'm doing this work, where I'm doing some lines that need to be reasonably directional, that I'm using my little finger as a bit of an anchor. So if you anchor yourself down a little bit, you've got more control over the pen tip, because while you're doing lines, you're actually burning a groove into the wood, and that means that if you haven't got good control, you'll find your lines going all over the place. So doing it this way with the tip upside down, it makes it easier. Now on to the leaves, which is reasonably simple. I do a straight line down the centre for the centre vein. Notice that at the beginning of doing that centre vein, I move the pen slowly, and as it gets towards the end, I speed up. And that's because the end that's at the thick end, or nearest to the stalk, is slightly thicker, and it tapers towards the point of the leaf. So if you do it that way, you'll get a finer line towards the end. So start slow, speed up, and then just flick in a couple of side veins on each side. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope it's been some use to you if you're thinking of taking up pyrography, or even if you've already started. I will show you the rest of this stick when I've finished it, and I'll show you how I do a top end for it and put the ferrule on as well. Please consider subscribing, and there'll be another video along shortly. Thank you very much for watching.